That's not what we're about. We're not here to do that. We don't wake up in the morning going, gee, I wonder who I can fire today.
The funny thing is when HR emails me, I'm like, uh-oh, am I about to get fired? So it affects all of us too.
We do have things that we have to do, things that are difficult, things that we would rather not do. But we're also as human as you are, and we really appreciate the opportunity to be human with you.
There are disagreements. There might be full-on fights. There could be literal screaming matches that happen.
Welcome to Primal HR. Real people, real talk, real HR. The human side of work from the people who live it every day. Here are your hosts, longtime HR leader Terry Smith and People First strategist Leslie Lulham.
A colleague of mine in Seattle wrote to me and said, hey, if you have a chance, would you be willing to talk a little bit about the following topic? To which I said, of course we would. The topic, HR as the villain.
Dun, dun, dun.
And it's really frustrating and yet very understandable in some ways why that happens, why people feel that way. Obviously, there's work that we have to do that is not always pleasant. You know, sometimes we have to have conversations with the people about their performance. Sometimes we have to have conversations about whether they're going to continue working with us or not. Sometimes we have conversations that say, no, you're not going to be working with us anymore. And those are all hard conversations. I want to dispel a couple of myths right now. There are probably a few, but I don't know them and I don't want to know them, people who actually enjoy having those conversations with people. We don't. And the vast majority of us in HR do not enjoy having those conversations that are difficult and challenging and sometimes feel hurtful. That's not what we're about. We're not here to do that. We don't wake up in the morning going, gee, I wonder who I can fire today. Not us, man. And I just want people to understand that that isn't why we do what we do. We spend a lot of time doing things that you probably won't even see necessarily, but are in your favor and in your support as employees.
Absolutely. I think this is one of the biggest reasons Terry and I got together to put this podcast together was we were sick, are sick of the stigma that HR gets. We're the bad guy. We're out to get you. We like having separation discussions. You know what I'm going to say to anyone in HR who enjoys that? Get out of the field.
Absolutely.
I have probably, like a lot of HR people, woken up in the morning on a day of separations, absolutely downtrodden, may have shed a couple of tears myself. Then you go put your brave face on, you get behind the camera, because when you're holding those types of meetings, in that moment, it's not about you. And so you put your brave face on, you get out there, you do your job, you try and be as understanding and empathetic with the person on the other side of the conversation as you can. And then you know what? When those calls are over, then you can go be a burrito on your couch, wrap yourself up in a bunch of blankets, and snuggle your dog or watch reality TV. But we do feel it. It does affect us. And in fact, it's even more interesting in the HR field because who does HR go to when we need to talk to somebody?
I had a colleague who was a CFO who asked me that very question a number of years ago. When I have something I need to deal with, I go to HR. Who do you go to? Well, part of the answer is what's happening right here. Leslie and I can go to each other and we can have those kind of conversations because, one, we understand what we're dealing with. Two, we know that we can have the conversation confidentially. We're not talking about names. We're not talking about specific people, but we are talking about how do we work through these challenges and these opportunities. So that's another piece of the puzzle. We go to each other and we have to.
Yeah, and think about this. When something truly horrific comes down the HR pipeline, things that you can only, let's say, observe with your eyes. Somebody has to watch that in addition to the people reporting it. That is, you guessed it, the HR team. So we're over here being the strong one, helping to lead these investigations and also kind of getting traumatized ourselves. and we need someone to talk to. You know, you have to process it, but also we're bound by NDAs and laws that dictate what we can and can't share. So it gets really interesting over here in HR Land. And what Terry and I are not trying to do is say, I'm HR, woe is me, my life is so hard. But we do want to humanize it a little bit because sometimes we do come off robotic. Sometimes we're just people trying to get through some hard things, but everyone should know this. This one cracks me up because we were just talking about it. You know who hates to hear from HR also? HR. I always hear from people, oh, you pinged me, you sent me an email, I started to panic. HR is messaging me, I must be in trouble. So that's where I say HR people, you know, like, hey, just checking in, nothing bad. But the funny thing is when HR emails me, I'm like, uh-oh, am I about to get fired? So it affects all of us too.
Part of it is just that mythology that's been created that every time HR wants to engage with somebody, including within our own space, there's this natural, oh no, what have I done? Or oh no, what have I not done? And the challenge is, and I've had this conversation with VPs, CHROs, my own team. Look, it's not always that way. In fact, we try very hard not to emphasize those difficult conversations. And I will say this as well, you know, not every person in HR is comfortable with those kind of conversations at all. In fact, very few people in HR are any more comfortable with those kind of conversations, those difficult, challenging conversations, than anybody else. It's simply a matter that we have to do it because it's part of our charge. It's part of our remit to have to do some of these things. It does not mean we're the villains. It does not mean we like doing this. We're not evil, despite what Scott Adams might say. We are definitely not that community of people. And I happen to enjoy it. I happen to enjoy being in HR. I don't enjoy those conversations. I hate having them, but sometimes it's necessary.
And something that people might not see that we were also talking about are the behind closed doors conversations that happen around these types of things. There are disagreements. There might be full-on fights. There could be literal screaming matches that happen between HR teams and their executive stakeholders. And if the decision is made to go against something we advise, then we still have to deliver the news, whether we agree with it or not at the end of the day. So something to keep in mind. I don't know about you, Terry, but I'm going to make a wild assumption here that is not so wild, that there were many fights you had on behalf of employees that they don't even have wind of happening. Because you also can't go around telling everyone, I fought for you. Maybe in some cases you can. And you know what? When you do get to have those moments, it feels real good. But it's not something we can broadcast.
Yeah, very true. And you're right, Leslie. I've had more than my fair share of those kind of conversations. And it's important to know, too, that we are just as beholden to the executive leaders as you are. And that doesn't change. We don't, just because we're in a role that we're in, doesn't mean that we still don't have to report to those folks. And to Leslie's point a moment ago, sometimes we will wrangle with leaders. We will, push back, and we will do everything we can to support what needs to happen for the employees. And we get, let's face it, overruled. Okay? And that happens. Again, we're not here saying, oh, let's do this. Let's terminate that person. Let's lay off a whole bunch of people. That's not what we do. We advise the best possible ways to execute those kinds of things if we can. And then if we wind up getting overridden, well, then we have to deal with that too. And sometimes that's even more difficult because we know in our heart of hearts that we've given the right advice, and the executive leader that we're dealing with simply says, nope, we're going to do it my way. Okay, well, and we have to do it.
Sometimes the old adage, FAFO, comes out in the HR world where we're like, I told you don't do that. The C-suite gets blowback, and you're like, told you. Do we say that? No. We just advise them back through it. But
Well, I might have said it once or twice.
yes, you did. I thought it very loudly a couple times. One thing, though, so we're talking about HR and like, don't shoot the messenger. It's our job. We do it. We signed up for this job, so we do it because we love people and we want to make a difference. That said, the flip side of the coin is quite possibly hilarious. So let's say we're doing HR. We're doing all the hard things. We're having hard conversations. We're butting heads with our executive team, or maybe not, which is lovely when everyone's all aligned. And then we get to plan a party. We get the glorious moment of doing something fun that's going to light up people's days. And then we get crap for that too. They're like, what do we do? Just sit around and plan parties all day? No, I wish. That would be so much fun. So we're the bad guys because we deliver bad news and we make policies. And no one's always excited about a policy. I mean, I don't get that excited about writing them either. And then we get to do something fun. We're like, yay, the employees are going to love this. And they're like, what are you doing? Just planning parties? Like, where is the middle ground?
I had a wonderful experience I got to share it. When the company I was working with at the time was celebrating, having had a fantastic quarter, right around the time that one of the Star Wars movies came out. I can't remember which one, but we had some cash available, so we took the entire staff to the Star Wars movie. Did an afternoon event where people could take off from work, bring their kids. I mean, we did that, and that was incredible, partly because we had a lot of folks that just happened to be Star Wars fans in the company. We knew that. The movie was there. It was happening. It had only been out for maybe a week or two, so it was still very fresh. And we had this great opportunity to do something really, really cool. And it was so much fun, especially to see not only our employees, but their spouses, their kids. And we just kind of left it open. If you want to bring your kids, great. If you've got your kids have a little friend that wants to come along, they can come too. I mean, we really pulled out the stops on that one, and it was so worth it.
I love that so much.
It was great.
I also love Star Wars.
Okay, fair enough. So do I.
It's a good one.
There was a great moment in the movie. It's too long to tell now, but just know that there are times when we get to do things that are fun. And by the way, I've run into this, right? The cynical person that says, oh, right, a pizza party, great, another pizza party, wonderful. Okay, maybe you're not so happy about it, but, there are going to be some people who are happy about it. And there are going to be people who appreciate the fact that we took the time to figure out, who is a vegetarian. So we make sure that we bring, vegetarian pizzas to the party or, I mean, we stop and think about those things, right? And people say, well, gee, you have to make all these concessions for all these different people. Yeah, maybe you do. So what? It's a good thing to do.
We want people to enjoy themselves.
Yeah.
And if you can't have gluten and cheese and all of that, then we're going to make sure you have something to eat.
Exactly.
And a good time.
And if you're a remote employee, we'll send you a certificate so that you can have lunch on us.
We actually, at one of my previous companies, found this pizza company, called Pizza Time, I believe. I'll look it up and we'll put the link in the show notes. This is not sponsored, but this was in, pandemic era. Everyone's working from home. We wanted to have a pizza party. Okay, we wanted to have a pizza party. Sue me. And so we were trying to figure out, how do you get pizzas to employees in 35 states? That is logistics, my friend. And we found this company called Pizza Time, and you pay them, and then they work with all the local pizzerias to get pizzas delivered to your workplace. So that's we used them a couple times, and you don't get to choose where your pizza comes from. I will say, because of them, I found a really good pizza place by my house I didn't know was there that had a delicious vegetarian pizza. So I am looking it up right now.
I will definitely hit that. We do have things that we have to do, things that are difficult, things that we would rather not do. But we're also as human as you are, and we really appreciate the opportunity to be human with you and to be able to do things like this that help us all, even for a moment, even for a half an hour, just have a little bit more relax and a little bit more dignity. And so we appreciate that opportunity. And by the way, I'll say again to my colleague in Seattle, we're not the villains. You know that. I know that. Leslie knows that.
If you have thoughts, hot takes, or questions, email us at hello@primalhrpodcast.com.
So thanks for listening to our Not the Villain routine. Coming up next, we'll talk about exit interviews.
Exit interviews, exit surveys. What are they? Are they actually used? Does anyone ever do anything with the data?
You've been listening to Primal HR. Follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Join the conversation on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook at Primal HR Podcast. Show notes and more at primalhrpodcast.com. Got a topic or want to join us on the show? Reach out. Our email is hello@primalhrpodcast.com. We'll see you next time.